And now we wait.
Oh my goodness.
When was our last show?
It was like 3 weeks ago because of the way the Mondays fell. So it's been a
Yes.
while. Yeah, people haven't seen our beautiful faces in a while. They may have forgotten that we exist, but here we are. And not only that, but this is like one of the last shows before Valentine's Day. So I'm all gussied in my Valentine's attire.
You're so good.
Yeah, I'm not going to do St. Patrick's Day though. I don't dress up for that. It's not who I am.
I'm not either.
No. Well, I
So
don't drink beer. I'm not Irish. Eh,
I can't drink. I'm not Irish either. So
yeah, pointless. So
yeah.
there, anybody watching, we refuse to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. You heard it from us, but I
I
will
always
celebrate
forget to wear
this.
green even.
Oh, well, and it's green if you're Catholic and orange if you're Protestant. So what do the rest
Really.
of us wear? Yeah.
I always would tell people I wore a green bra today or something like that because I'd forget,
And if anybody
Um,
dares to check, oh,
yeah, exactly.
it's a work environment.
I forgot my water. I'm wondering
Oh,
if
you
I
should get
text my
that.
husband, will he come bring it to
Oh,
me?
that's right. I forgot you have a houseboy and a texter. Get that water, Shan. Come, boy.
I don't know if he's watching yet.
Well, I'm not even drinking the alcohols tonight. I'm just having my little cranberry juice
You're so good.
today.
I'm
Today
always jealous
of my cranberry juice because it looks so tasty.
of your uh, alcoholic beverage consumption that I can't do. So,
I almost never drink. Just when there's like I've done it on the show a couple of times, but around the house, like there's no point in drinking by myself, right? So,
um, well, one moment, and we'll play our video, and then we'll come back to this.
okay, yes.
Oops.
Oh, howdy.
Howdy.
He brought me some
Well
water.
done. Well done, sir.
Well, if you guys, we're down to 3. Okay. Oh well, I guess we lost. Now we're down to 2. Okay, well,
People are going to watch this in reruns. That's what we
I
have to
guess
believe.
this will
And we
be
got Jeff Harris is watching us. That's all we need. That's 2 eyeballs right there. Hello, Jeff.
yes, chicken wing. You don't do. I totally agree. You don't have to have a reason to treat your honey special. And there have been years where we really didn't do anything, and there have been years where we've kind of done it up. But yeah, it's we did one time. We did a special dinner at one of the local restaurants where a chef from Austin came in to cook, and it was really great food. But the place was so packed you had to ask the person behind you before you scooted your seat back.
Oh, yeah.
So the food was great, but it just the atmosphere wasn't quite all that romantic.
Yeah.
So
Well, I remember husband number 1 made went and got one of those grocery store cakes. We were young. I was gothic back then. And so he got a cake and he got like black icing on it with black roses saying Happy Valentine's Day. So that was very sweet. And it's been downhill from there. So, yeah. But I just like to celebrate the season because I believe in random love and just I was actually going to send out Valentine, Friendentine, Galentine, whatever cards this year, but now it's already, what is it, the 6th? Nothing's going to get in the mail in time. So
Yeah,
I'm just going to wait till February 15th and buy myself a lot of discount chocolate.
exactly. I do that for Easter.
Right? I'm
Mhm.
so ready.
Yes.
So,
So, hello, Mr. Yukon. Some of
hey.
our great supporters here, Jeff Harris, used to do a special. Now the lingerie, too much information. Just saying. Um,
Oh, no, I want to hear what kind of lingerie he wears. I suspect he's a garter belt sort of gentleman. I'm just going to picture that. Don't send pictures. I'll just fantasize.
well, I guess to our 6 viewers, we should introduce ourselves
Oh, yes.
if you don't know us already, or maybe if you're watching this after, uh, just in case. So I'm Tisha Klinkenbeard, and president of the Craft Whisker Club, and then my lovely co-host.
Me. I'm Hackman from the Vancouver Facial Hair Club, and now I'm a vice president of the National Association for Charitable Beard and Mustache Association. I didn't get that right, but the point is,
And
we're
North
now not,
American
yeah,
Charitable Beard and Mustache Alliance.
Alliance. Thank you.
Thanks.
I knew it was
You're
something like
welcome.
that. Anyway, that's all you need to know. I barely know. I barely know.
And
Hanging
I
on by
only
a
know
thread here,
because
Tish.
I read a post on it today. Other than
Oh,
that,
good.
I would not remember that.
Mhm.
So so that's uh I heard a ding, but I'm thinking it's not important. But so now we're down to 4. We just keep, perturbing ladies. Hi, Miss Judy Goebel. I'm still mad at you, Judy Goebel, because you outbid me on that koozie. That's all I'm saying. I love you, but she outbid me on the You Matter koozie. So
Don't scare her off. We got 4 people here. Don't get in an argument with people. You know why? They're not here because we don't have Summer and we don't have Natalie, and it's just you and me. And people keep tuning in. They're like, "Where is Summer?" But she's not here. Sorry.
they are not feeling well today. So it's just Christine and I. You have to put up with us.
Doing the best we
So
can, holding down the hairy little fort here, the faux hairy fort.
well, let's see.
We have topics.
We do. We have topics tonight and everything. So I kind of put it out there as a lure, but maybe next time I should tell people what the topics are. So
Yeah. One day we'll be organized.
yeah.
What do you want to start with? There's so many things that we could talk about.
Well, I don't know. Why don't you pick?
Okay, well, because we were talking about it right before we went to camera here, apparently on one of the other Beard Network shows, they were talking about what you look for in an MC. And Tisha was about to give me her thoughts, which she said were quite scandalous and went against the grain of everyone else. So I'm expecting some bombs to be dropped tonight. Tisha, what are your opinions about MCs?
Well, I like an MC that helps to bring out the person when they're on the stage. Helps to show that the person, not just the beard, but the person, and they keep the show going. A lot of people have trouble already getting up on that stage and being in front of people, so kind of that also calming effect with them. So a bit of kindness, humor is very, very important. um let's see, but I think that's the biggest thing is, I mean, you can heckle people a bit, and the audience, maybe heckle the audience a little more than the actual competitors. Wait till they get on the audience floor and then heckle them. But I think that's huge, as somebody that keeps it moving and helps the competitors when they get up there to actually show a little of themselves or their personality. Or I've seen them that will ask the person questions about what they've got going on in bearding, or with their club, or what they personally are doing, and I think that's really cool. So bringing out the personalities, as well as the activities. So what are your thoughts on that?
That's tough because I am fearless when I am in control of the mic. But when I am on the answering end of questions, I freeze up so bad. And I'm just a drooling, dribbling fool, dribbling, stuttering. I can't get anything out. And I'm always second guessing if I'm looking like an idiot or not. So I do agree that, yes, having somebody who can be kind and gentle to a person, that's probably good. And probably also, yeah, being able to mix it up where it's not just like, where are you from? What do you do? And have some, make it interesting for the audience, because I don't think we need like to hear 50 people in a row say, I'm from Kansas or whatever, right? Great. Congratulations. You live
We're
somewhere.
in Kansas, Dorothy.
Yeah. Or that's the other, on the other side of that, it's like, oh, where do you live? And it's like, well, I'm from Nemeo, Alberta. And you don't know where that is. So if I tell you, well, that's like 15 minutes out of uh, the air base that isn't there anymore, also doesn't help you. So, nobody
Just
wants to
around
hear
the
that kind
corner
of
from the
rambling.
ER.
Yeah, well, now I am. You're fascinated with that, aren't you? You're going to come
Yeah.
and visit me one day, and I'm going to take you to that ER so I can prove to you how close I am. So, yeah.
Hey, Ray, this is a topic you guys talked about last week on the Talking Beards network shows last week. So I kind of picked it up from watching you guys. So one thing I just thought about while you were talking is it could be easier to be an MC when you know some of the competitors.
Hmm.
So, that kind of goes back to what I was talking about things that you know or notice, or what they're doing. So but I think that happens a lot too. People that are very, very active in bearding, with MCs that are also very active, that could be something too.
Well, I've done a lot of emceeing of dance shows and things, and the difference there is that you do your little chat, your introduction, whatever, but then you've got several minutes between acts. So you have time to sort of reflect on what you're going to say about what's happening in the show. You can do some callbacks and that sort of thing. But if you're emceeing a beard competition and dealing with people nonstop, and you've only got like, say, 10 to 30 seconds between people, it is a little more challenging to be an interesting MC for sure, and to keep that energy up and keep the flow going, because MCs have to be on for the whole dang time. They
Yeah.
are the party.
And the thing too, I've noticed sitting at the judging table and being in the audience, and we were really bad about it probably at You Matter, because there was a lot of come back up here, let's take another look. Okay, let's take like a third look. So the MC's also filling that space too. And I'm huge on crowd involvement, because they're there more. I mean, I'm stumbling over my words tonight. So there are some competitions that you get people in from locals, or people that haven't been to comps before, or people that don't compete, and you want to do somewhat of hey, this is what we've got going on. You talking to your charities, having them have a chance, giving them information, um, letting them know about raffles, sponsors, um, about the charity itself, about your I think Natalie, it was brought up, um, tipping your bartenders, taking care of the staff there at the show, or at the venue or whatever. So those are all good because you do have that time where you have to fill the space while all the judging pieces are getting themselves worked out.
Yeah.
So I think there's that part too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, there's a lot that you have to, as an MC, be able to juggle as far as getting that information out to the audience. And usually I'll have like a little clipboard with my points on there to make sure that I acknowledge the right people. If I'm doing a show, I have a point where I'm going to do all of the thank yous and do the big wind up, the like for example with the beards right before they finish judging while they're doing the best in show sort of stuff. You got to keep the audience interested while the judges are busy thinking hard, you know.
right.
Well, and always, yeah, acknowledge the sponsors, acknowledge, and there's so many thank yous that it doesn't cost you anything to give out, but you got to remember to acknowledge your volunteers because they do like
Hmm.
to hear that because they are working their butts off for you. So
Yeah, very, very true. Very true. And I really like that. I like crowd engagement.
yeah.
You know, because when we do the battles live, that's a big thing that's really important to me. Is not just that we're up there doing the battle, but the crowd's actually interested and, you know, paying attention and going up there and actually watching what they're doing and
Do
heckling
you
and
interview people down the line while you're doing the live ones? Are you
oh,
able to do that?
definitely,
Oh, good.
definitely,
Good to
pretty much the
distract them.
whole time
Good, good.
because that's part of, you know, even when we were doing it live, that was a huge part of it because you're you're not just sitting there working on the beard, but you're answering questions and, you know, talking about what you're doing and that piece. So we even had, you know, little games of trivia, and if, you know, you lost the trivia game, then you had to put your glue gun down for 3 minutes. And, you know, we haven't done that in any of the
Brilliant.
live battles, but it's something to think about.
Yep, I like it.
You know, and so to me that's part of the fun, and having done it twice now, it's I'm really serious about it. I try to really focus. Um so I know I know how difficult it is to have that kind of broken, you know. And if you're in that environment where you're sitting, you know, elbow to elbow with, you know, someone else, and you've got people there in front of you and people, you know, like Carrie and myself for You Matter, we're walking along, you know, not just me, but he was also talking to them too. And so yeah, we definitely try to do that. And like Robert, crowd engagement, you know, they're there for a show too, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, just you're there for the show. I mean, you want to see what's going on. So, well, do we're up to 10 people. Oh my gosh.
do we go into another topic? Do we stick with this? I don't know. You're in charge.
I'm not in charge.
We can rock, paper, scissors. Who picks the next one? Okay. What else did we want to talk? We had a list. I
um
know there was a
we're going to
list.
talk about the other topic they had this past week was trophies.
Ah, yes.
And I think the question was, should, since this is for charity, should we have trophies or should the money allocated to that go to the charity?
Mm.
So I'm going to let you go first.
Well, I do like a trophy. I do like a knick-knack. I like a little acknowledgement. I'm not going to lie. That being said, it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can be handmade. It can be a picture that your child drew for me. I don't care, but I would just like a memento. And that feels real good. And it's nice to be, if there's going to be an awards presentation, it's nice to be presented with an award. But I know spending money on awards, uh, that is a little dodgy. How much does it take away from charity? Because when we did our online one, um, we thought, well, the one advantage to doing online is that we can send out personalized awards afterwards. and we happened to get a really good deal with somebody, and our awards were fairly inexpensive because they were a couple pieces of like not quite plexiglass, but colored. And so you set them together to make a little stand-up trophy. So we were able to save on mailing costs by making it something flat packed. And because at the time we were like, well, if we can't get people in to donate money, we need to draw them in with something. And everybody likes a good trophy. And we did get a lot of compliments on that one. And even in our in-person competition this year, we weren't able to do the personalized, but on each of the little medallions, it was a different picture depending on what category it was.
Mm-hmm.
So still, whatever you've got to put on your shelf, instantly recognizable. I got this place in this category. So we thought it was cute. And again, we thought it's worth the money because it is about charity, but it's also about a good time and getting people interested in being there.
Right.
And the ones we did this year, they were like $5 each.
Mm-hmm.
So it felt worth it. So.
Yeah, and that was one of the answers or comments was, and I totally agree, is you go to some comps that are known for their trophies.
Mm-hmm.
The one that typically comes up is the one in Nashville. I forget who hosts it, but their trophies are always symbols with like you talked about, kind of a category, not picture, but what are the, I can't think of words tonight. You're going to have to translate for me. Kind of an emblem of, what that category is. So
we'll call it a graphic.
Yes, that's good. Awesome. I think with You Matter, the deal with You Matter is to make, the buckles are actual real, buckles. And I think that's a big deal too. And Jeff Harris, I totally agree. It's part of the bragging rights. But when I tell people about bearding, one of the things I tell them when they say, well, what do you like about it? Number one, the charity aspect. Number two, the community aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And about the competitions themselves, the trophies are typically what I call works of art, because they're not for majority of the competitions. Some of the big ones are not so much that, but they're not your typical go to the sports store and buy a trophy. There's something that somebody made or did or is special about that competition. They're not, the stand-up dude with the football.
Yeah, and I totally love when people are able to make their own handcrafted trophies for the show. I think that's brilliant and beautiful. Again, when we were doing it, we were a small group of people with not a lot of time that we could put into it. So we came up with all these ideas of how could we make this more cost efficient and get it done in a reasonable amount of time. It's like even a craft project, how can we do something crafty for under $5? And we needed all that time and space. We all live in apartments because we're in Vancouver, so it's not like we got a lot of workshops here. We can just like spread out and do stuff. And actually, it's funny because the first few competitions I went to here, the guys had these beautiful wooden plaques that they decoupaged the awards onto, and they're great, but they're huge. And I think they did it because somebody like actually knew somebody in a school, so they could use like the school wood cutting shop to cut them all out. So that's great, but we don't have that anymore. But next year we have a gentleman who's a friend of the club who's a metal worker and a metal fabricator. So he wants to design something. So I'm curious to see what that's going to be. But the other thing, once upon a time, one of our club members wanted to do as trophies a saw blade because they thought that'd be really awesome and lumberjacky and great. But then it's like, what do you do with a saw blade? Like they're sharp.
Try to take that on the airplane.
Yeah. And that's another big thing. If you have out-of-towners, it's got to be a trophy that you can pack comfortably. Because then there was another comp where I think they were handing out bowling pins, and people are having trouble getting those in their suitcase because that could be considered a blunt object.
Yeah. And that was, I think Summer brought that up is that a lot of times they're really cool, but how do you get that home? You know,
Yeah.
um, so and it's not like I have like trophies anywhere, but I mean, once you're competing and you can accumulate them, and there are ones that just really stand out to you. Like Shannon has one of the symbols, and it's like, okay, where do you put it? It's really cool, and it's made to hang, but it's like, okay, what wall do I put that on?
Yeah. Or like the Monster Ball ones where it's a skateboard deck. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That would be fabulous. But again, I could never be able to bring that home on an airplane. So I'm not going to their competition. No, that's, that's not my
Whisker
reason. But,
Mania. Whisker Mania is another one because they have the huge wrestling belts,
oh
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and just a funny story. Shannon actually won at Whisker Mania back in, I guess it was before pre-COVID, maybe 2019, and we actually had to go buy a suitcase to get it home because
Wow.
it would
Yeah.
not physically fit in a carry-on.
Yeah.
Um, so let's see, Leslie, a stand-up dude trophy with him fixing his mustache.
That would be
There's some,
great. Or
yes,
just stroking a beard.
or as you talked about, this emblem that you can use too.
Yeah.
And Jeff said it'd be really cool. And my husband confirmed, oh, he actually told me differently. It was 2017. I really thought it was 2019, but I don't know. I may have to research that. I think it's in the bedroom, so maybe I should go check that later.
You keep a wrestling belt in your bedroom?
Well, the trophies are actually in a curio cabinet in the bedroom because there's no room in the rest of the house.
That's an interesting place to look at your awards.
And
I'm
we
just going to
always
leave that
keep the
there.
tags,
Hmm.
your competitor tags. So there's like,
Yeah.
it's an old curio cabinet that literally used to hold like probably china because it's
Uh-huh.
got the little hooks to hang the cups,
Nice.
from the handle. And so
Yeah.
that's what we put the competitor badges. That's how we've hung them up there. Um, so it's a bit of an antique, but of course, the trophies are largely his. So I wouldn't even say largely. I would say like 7/8 there. I have
Well,
to.
he's been doing it for longer. So,
Well, I everybody, like we've talked about, everybody loves winning, and
mhm.
there are there are really cool trophies that you're like, I want one. I bet he's got the belt. I just heard the door open.
So I'm just going to
Les.
go on record and say that my wife was right.
Oh, good.
It's
Good.
2019.
Well,
It's
kind of.
recorded.
Yeah. It's this is going to be playing in reruns, Shan, just so you know. The world will know.
This is on
Good.
YouTube. I'm just saying. Yeah. Yukon, we need to build a trophy room. Oh, maybe once he gets his shop built, um, he can put all the trophies in there, all his trophies in there, and
Well, I
then
feel like,
I'll
yeah.
be totally fine with the curio cabinet. It won't even be close to full.
Well, I think the Johnsons need to actually build an annex onto their house because that beard room in Natalie's is filling up way too much. They need like a walk-in sort of area, maybe somewhere you could sit, like sit in the middle and just sort of have a coffee, like an art gallery, and just sort of sit there and look around at everything. I think that's what I will aspire to.
Yes, I'm always right. And
Oh,
George Strait has oceanfront property in Arizona. Uh, I'm just, I'm just saying. I won't even claim to always be right, but in this instance, I was.
here, where it's being recorded, where it counts.
I can remember the odd things. I was noting that the other night. I can't remember words for certain objects or stuff like that, but I can remember weird things like that was 2019. So, yeah. And it also has golden gates. Yeah. Um, but let's see. What were we talking about? Oh, we
Well,
got
we had
into
a few other.
trophies.
Yeah, yeah. And then I think we were going to talk about worlds.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
So I'm sure everyone listening knows. Oh my gosh.
Oh, oh, I got to roll up my pants because it is too late to save the shoes. No, sir. No, sir. We do not believe that is an excuse, sir. Oh, adorable, Shan. Adorable.
Yeah, it's recorded that I was right. So we were talking, yes, worlds. So I'm sure everyone watching knows in June, well, actually it's 9th and 10th now that they released the actual schedule. That Worlds is going on in Berghausen, Germany. I hope I pronounced that correctly. So, I know Ms. Hackman and myself are actually we're planning to go to Worlds if all the planets align and etc. So, and if you haven't heard, in the craft bearding world, they have realistic categories, but they do not have any creative categories this year. So, and you probably know all the realistic categories: mustache, partial, freestyle, and full.
Yep. That's it.
And they are actually on different days as well. They're not all on the same day. So,
Oddly enough, yeah, 3 of them are on the 9th, and then freestyle is on its own on the 10th.
yeah.
Don't know why. And one might think, oh, is that so that people can compete in 2 categories? No, no. Worlds, you are only allowed to choose one category and stick with it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So,
And
yeah, sorry.
no, go ahead.
It is a bit of a kerfuffle considering how many crafty craft ladies we have here, that there are no crafty categories at the Worlds, and I think that's been a disappointment to many people, but it is what it is. So,
And they each Worlds, they always have a meeting at after Worlds. Usually what's the day after or something like that, or I don't know if it's before or after the actual comp, but sometime in that weekend they have the meeting for members. And we're a member now. So we got the official email a couple weeks ago, and they will be one of the topics is a review of categories. So hopefully, we've got a little more representation on there. So I would really love to see the creatives being added to the official approved list of categories. That would be just exceptionally cool. And I'd love to be there to watch it in person, just like yeah. One of those moments. But being that, I know, and I thought about it earlier this week. I was working on a beard, and I really wanted to do a video, but I couldn't actually do it with what I was working on. But if some of you don't know, I actually have trimmers, so my hands shake, quite a bit, and it's worse when I have a lot of caffeine. And of course, I love coffee in the morning. So my tremors can get pretty bad with the caffeine. And a lot of people like like you guys have asked me, do realistic. I just don't have the fine motor skills for that, to
Mm.
be successful at it. And I don't think I think it'd be frustrating for me more than anything. So, not that I don't push the limits with the creative stuff, but, I was like, am I kind of like double sided and not encouraging people to do stuff outside their comfort zones versus me not, you know, not doing realistic because of that. But I also feel like, okay, I'm acknowledging I have a physical limitation in what I can achieve, you know, versus, you know, not wanting to do something per se. So, I just don't, you guys are like the realistic champions. And before COVID, we saw a lot of women that were doing both categories. So it was it was getting to be just a major trend. And even now, a lot of women do both categories, as long as the comp allows it. But, um, and you're kind of the opposite of me because you dabble in creative, but your wheelhouse is actually realistic.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have for people wanting to go to Worlds to compete?
Well, first off, if you're going there anyway because your partner is competing with his grown hair, you're there anyway. You might as well throw your hat in the ring. You might as well pack something. And realistic doesn't have to be that difficult. There's a lot of different ways of doing it. And maybe that's something that we should consider is we've got 4 months until Worlds. We could devote one show per month to just showing off some different techniques of how to do quick and dirty, cheap and cheerful, realistic, because I'm pretty sure that it's not much of a thing in Europe. So I think North Americans kind of got this covered. So if you just want to go over there and pick up a prize, maybe you should just glue something to your face. And honestly, like when you're doing realistic, so much of it is of what's stuck to your face is covered by the hair. So really all you have to worry about is making this edge relatively clean, having a fairly nice mustache, and doing something to trim it. If you're using like a human hair, you can use a curling iron to get your texture and your volume. If you're using synthetic hair, there's ways to make that have a really beardy texture. So don't be intimidated by realistic because there are ways around it. And in fact, one that I was helping somebody with just took rows of the hair, like the clip-in hair, and sewed that, made a little base that was sewn, and then sewed these wefts to it. And then all you had to worry about was making that top edge kind of hidden and look nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
put it on. And like I said, just shape it nicely. It's a beard. It's realistic if it is made out of a human or synthetic hair. Come and join us. Come to the realistic side.
So we might have to get a Christine tutorial for those physically challenged in making realistic beards.
It's not that hard. You can do it. No, really. And honestly, I know we talked on one of the other shows about whether a judge here would ding you points if you didn't make the beard yourself. But if we're all going over, if we're all spending that kind of time and energy to cross the ocean, maybe we can help each other out by making beards for each other and have the joy of just being in the competition, right? And representing North America.
I don't know.
Is that scandalous? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like if I'm going to be up there, it should be what I've done, you know? And so that's a big thing to me because when I get up there, it's I'm putting me out there, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. We'll have a tutorial and we'll see how the I will give it a shot on a tutorial. I'll agree to that. because I got to think about it, and I didn't want to be double-sided on it. So I'll give it a shot, but it may be something like a mustache. We may have to
Well,
start out.
but that's the thing. There's a category just for mustache or for partial. So it doesn't you don't have to worry about doing something big and fancy. You just have to glue something to your face. Well, and actually in the last two worlds, there have been people who have placed who did the braid your own hair around thing.
Mhm.
So people with long hair, please consider that you can still enter this too. Yeah, you got sideburns. Just glue some on your cheeks. And you got sideburns. We'll give you a little soul patch. Bring it all together.
So let's see. Leslie says, well, I'm trying to pull it up. Natalie gave her a tutorial, so she's going to give realistic a try. Very cool. Very
Excellent.
cool. A lot of my energy lately has been set on upping my creative game.
Mm-hmm.
Me just taking it up. How can I really push it up a level? And that's my energies. I have right now, one of my beards I'm working on is for Cassie, which is February 18th. No pressure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, not to give it away, but I'm trying to use what I'll call active liquids. That's my only hint on that one.
Okay.
I'll tell you, but I'm not telling everybody else.
Well, it's a good thing you don't have to take it on a plane, because if there's liquids
Yes.
involved.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
No. Definitely
Okay.
not. And my next one I've started and gotten actually a lot further is Mob Fest 6. My beard for that. And that one I'm having one heck of a good time with. Let me tell you. Even if it doesn't win, I'm loving it. It's just like you're gonna love it. It's
Okay.
I can't wait. I've actually been remembering to take pictures as I go along because I'm having so much fun with it.
Good.
I would have to say this has probably been just like stupid giggle fun. This has been that beard so far as just, oh my gosh, let's just be stupid with this fun.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm having a good time with it. I can't wait.
Because the last couple of beards that you've done have been very elegant, I would say. And then, I can remember when you had your crawfish boil one. That was kind of silly fun, and the carousel one, I really
Mhm.
enjoyed that. But the ones that you did, your last one, which was the crystals, that was just gorgeous. Obviously, your world's beard with all the buttons, loved that, all the antique buttons, and then there was the Great American where you had all the cameos. I mean,
Mhm.
you produce elegant, beautiful work. So it'll be fun to see some silly
This
from
one
you
is the
again.
opposite.
Yeah, yeah, great. Very
This one is
excited.
just, oh my gosh, I'm having so much fun with it. And it's so totally what no one would expect me to, I think, actually do. Um,
Yeah.
it's just that off from what I've done. So,
Okay.
and it's actually working physically pretty well so far.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Let's see. Alley Cat's hair. Yeah, I think Alley Cat should do that. Her hair has gotten long. That's Jeff's wife,
Okay.
and her hair's gotten long, so she could do. Mary Lou actually will cut her hair and make some of her realistics. She'll cut and use her own hair, and of course, like Courtney we had on our last show, she uses her hair to make the beard. Tiffany from Houston was at You Matter, and she used her hair to make her beard. So, Sue, did you want to see some of the beards? I don't know if Mine I actually have to take off the wall to show you. But maybe some night we can do the show us your favorite 5 beards or something like that. That might be a cool thing to do, and have a couple of guests on. So Sue, you'll have to come back. A great topic for a show. We can do a show me for our 5 favorite beards. Boil, fish, crawl. I don't get it, Jeff. You have to explain that one. So let's see. Okay. Hold your thought, Hannah. The other thing we wanted to talk about with Worlds, I have to go back because otherwise I'll forget about it. We talked about the experience of going to Worlds. So if you're thinking of, do I want to go to Worlds? We were going to talk a little bit about our experience, the whole experience of going to a Worlds competition. So now I've been to 2. One is a competitor and one is spectator. So my first one was in Austin, and that was 2017. And I was just a spectator. Shannon had just started competing. So it was huge, and it was like a little overwhelming with all the crowds and all the people. And of course, if I knew people then like I do now, I don't think it would have been as overwhelming, you know. But it was just like, wow, you know, kind of blew my brain. What did you think about it? How was your Austin experience?
Well, that was my first time in Texas, my second beard competition ever. There were, I think, over 700 competitors over that weekend. And so it was a life-changing experience. I loved it. I didn't know any beardos, so everybody was new to me. So now when I look back at pictures, I'm like, oh shit, so and so was there, so and so was there. And it's like, we're friends now. Just very weird. So it was glorious. Yeah. And then going to the one in Antwerp, I knew a few people, but again, hardly any. And at least with Austin, we surprised. Me and Diane went down, and Tanya, and we didn't tell the guys from the club because we barely knew them. So we showed up, and there were 4 or 5 guys from the Vancouver club were down there, and they were like, "You're here." It's like, yeah, we are. We didn't even hang out with them because we're like, I don't know who you are. What? So, yeah, so the culture, obviously, it's different down in Texas from what it is in my little life. So that was great. And again, same with Antwerp. You know, it's different food, it's different people, it's different sights, and so many beards. And it's like, I like to refer to people as the beard royalty, like yourself and Clink, and you know, these people who are the world famous
Like
beards.
yourself, maybe?
But seeing other people and yeah, it's just like, oh my goodness, I know who you are. I feel like I need an autograph book at this point because it's like, oh, I've seen your beard. Well, you know, when you look on, if you type in Google and you look for something like long beards or red beards or whatever beards, freestyle beards, and all the pictures come up and it's like, know them, like them, know them, you know, amazing, right? So, or people will send me links and they're like, oh, I saw this picture from 2003 or something, just about, or like, I've never seen an episode of Whisker Wars. People keep referring to that. I need to see that because I bet I know people from that now.
Oh yeah, I've watched bits and pieces of it, you know, because Shannon watched it. And so when we went to, it was his second competition, but it was nationals in Nashville in 2017 as well, I think. Because
He'll
I
let
was
you know if
working.
it wasn't. He'll correct you. Don't worry.
Well, I was working in Nashville at the time,
Oh, okay.
so it was easy for him to get I already had a hotel because that's where I worked. And so, he and our daughter came for the weekend and went to nationals. And of course, it was at the Ryman Auditorium, which, is here, country music. That's huge. It's the original Grand Ole Opry. Oh, see, he corrected me. 2016.
We're
So
going to need to see proof on that. Otherwise, I'm going to assume that's a typo.
spell check.
Yeah.
But it's like, so that was a first experience. But and then going to Worlds, right, pretty much after that was the nationals was his second competition. And then
Wow.
Worlds the next year in Austin. And I didn't grow up in Austin. I went to college in Austin, so I lived there for like 8 years. And so life there is totally different from my life here by
Mhm.
a large. So it was going to the city. But you're right, now I look back on pictures from there and I'm like, I know those people, whereas I was just sitting in the audience, completely like, you know um but Worlds in Belgium to me was culturally a completely different experience,
Yeah.
than of course what it was in Austin. So it definitely had the European feel, to it. And it competing was very intimidating because that was like my third competition. It
Wow.
was Worlds. And so, I've been trying really hard to make that beard. And then you get over there and you're in a whole different. I've traveled to Europe before, so it wasn't that the whole trip was weird.
Yeah.
Shannon hadn't. So to him that added, another level.
Yeah.
Um and but it was just, it felt culturally just opposite ends of the spectrum, totally
Yeah.
opposite. And I think that's part of the lure of Worlds to me too, is to go somewhere else. You're going to know people there now, because like you've been around the world. I say you've been around the world of bearding longer, so you're going to know people that are there
Yeah.
and people that you met. Like I met you at Worlds,
Yeah.
now look at us.
Yeah. Yay. But yeah, when I went to the Austin one, like I said, it was with a couple other gals. And then when I went to Antwerp, I didn't tell anybody I was going. So I didn't tell my
Do that
family
a
until the
lot.
day before. Yeah, I'm sneaky. So, and I didn't know anybody. And then I found out Snidely I found out, I think, the day I left that he was going to be there. And I didn't know him. So I just met him for the first time in Antwerp. And if you don't know him, he's a mustache champion in many ways.
Yes,
And
yes.
yeah, my fellow Canadian. And yeah, there was people that I met and made friends with. But I'm paralyzingly shy and was totally fangirl. So I was just like, Antwerp was just like me wide eyed and just having the time of my life. Just sitting. And people, y'all were very kind. Y'all adopted me, and I got to sit with a lot of North Americans and not feel quite as goofy as I thought I would. So that was very nice. So
Yeah.
hopefully, yes, I will know people in Germany again if I get there. So if the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise, we'll all get there and we'll have a good old time. So
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that experience now.
yeah,
That it's still going to be different than it was in Antwerp, I think,
yeah,
but it's 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 something that it's still. I'm looking forward to even seeing what that difference is. What does
yeah,
that look like? And because I also think a lot of it too is um the the gosh. He sent me a picture from nationals and it has the date, September
Oh,
12th, 2016.
wow.
Look at that little
Wow.
baby whaler beard.
That's adorable. And I'm glad that he took the time to Photoshop it to make it say 2016.
Yeah, that was
Just-
that was
We assume
talent.
it, we assume you're lying there. Like, but that's fine. Oh my goodness,
Oh,
we've come a long way.
yes. So okay, I told Hannah to hold that thought, so I have to go back and find her
How we
comment.
get inspired.
Yeah, so we have 5 minutes left, even though we do
Okay.
um
Okay.
tend to go over sometimes. So Hannah, how do you come up with your ideas for beards? Trying to figure out beards for future comps. You want to go first?
Oh, well,
You have a
anything will
different
be.
concept than I do. So
Yeah.
you do mostly realistic and I do creative. So I think ours is going to be a little different.
Yeah. Oh, oh gosh. Yeah, I don't even know how I come up with the realistic ones. Um, Sometimes a theme will help. Like I've done a lot of holiday ones. Um, Good one. But I know like when for the few creatives that I've done, like my charcuterie beard, that was a personal best. And that was inspired because I was hungry. So I'm a pretty basic girl when it comes to that. And actually, the for realistic, sometimes I'll see like a hairstyle or something that will inspire me, or yeah, usually there's some sort of theme involved. And the one thing I will say, because we were going to touch on how to photograph your beards, and I know we're going to get to that in
Upcoming.
greater
Mhm.
depth another day, but whenever I'm wearing a dark beard, I make sure my costuming is light beard, dark costuming, because you got to have that contrast to make things pop. And
Mhm.
that's all I got.
Yeah. Well, see, I tend to go with a theme, typically of the comp, if I can. If it's a big comp, I think they don't normally have themes per se. If you go to nationals or you go to worlds, there's somewhat of a theme. National sometimes has, and I say a theme, it can be in kind of the advertising. For this year for nationals, it was a buffalo because, of course, it was in Casper, Wyoming. So you can find a theme, even if it's not the theme there. Um, but I like to do that. But for the big competitions, I kind of like to go out on a limb and do something that just comes up into my brain. So like Great Americans with the brooches was I always have thought that those brooch bridal bouquets were just beautiful, and I love the cameo brooches. And so I thought, well, why not? And so the beards, the beard with the buttons. You always think I keep all my buttons in that come in the little plastic bags and stuff. So I have a little box of buttons, but I was like, um, I want cool ones. I want more, vintage type of look to that. Um, let's see. For nationals in not Scranton, we didn't get to go to that one. In Chicago, um, I wanted to do chops really bad. I really wanted to do chops. To me, creative, that is like something that is difficult to do.
Yeah.
You've got to, if you're going to do creative beard that's a set of chops, that's hard to do. And that
Mm.
was something I really wanted to push myself on. But for the most part, I either have I'll choose a theme based on when it is, the theme of the comp, where it is, what the branding looks like, something like that. So that's something I try to
And I
do
would
is I
say,
do.
and jot down your ideas. Find a notebook, a place where you can keep them all together, because then you'll find that maybe something that started out as one idea, it'll morph when you sort of think about it and let it sit for a while.
Mhm.
And,
I have a
yeah,
cork board with them stuck, and I
yeah.
have 3 beards that I've started but
Hmm.
haven't finished that are just waiting for that perfect comp
Yeah.
to so Natalie just is off the cuff. So I think it's harder for me to do off the cuff because you got to go buy the stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a constant purchase, because until you get that thing finished, you're not quite sure exactly what else you need.
Yes.
So,
And again, art is never finished. It is only abandoned. There's just a time when you got to step away and be like, no, no more.
yeah. So I do have at least 2 beards, maybe 3, that have been started. And I will use them someday, I know, but I'm just waiting for that perfect comp to use them at.
Yeah, I
So,
have an emergency beard that's done and ready to go. So if there's suddenly a competition I forgot was happening, I will be able to run to that beard and put it on.
I have them all over the place.
Our little hairy beard caves, our little creative caves.
And I try really hard. The carousel beard, I did personalize it to that comp, but I try to stay away from that because I do want to use them for other comps, or um
Yeah.
it used to be a bit more taboo to reuse your beards, but um now it's, I'm going to reuse them. I put a lot into them.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, Hannah, I hope that helped a little bit. Just put, like, I think what Christine said, it's really important too that when you have an idea for something, even if it's a partial idea, write it in a notebook or stick it on a cork board, or, because I even have like reference pictures
Yep.
that I'll put with the idea, something, I'll print it out and stick it up there. And I actually have my Alice in Wonderland beard stuck to the cork board too, because it's like,
It's so
where do
little,
I,
but it's so perfect. I love that one.
it's like, where else am I going to put it?
Yeah.
It wouldn't stick to the wall, so it's on the cork board. But yeah, so I think we covered a lot of topics tonight, and I hope everyone enjoyed it. We're a few minutes over, but I think it was a lot of fun for us, not really having a lot of prep, for our show tonight. So we have a couple things that we talked about for future shows. We've had a request for another show about judging. We had just now Sue ask us about some of our beards, seeing those. So maybe we'll do a show and tell night. We also had a request for how to make the most of photography. So we'll be working on getting some actual comp photographers, on the show one night to give us tips and tricks for showing our beards off for the best, and not just creative, but also for those who have the lovely hair growing on their faces. And what else did we have? Oh,
Tutorials unrealistic.
yes, the promise that I made to you're gonna have to give me like a list of what I need to purchase before we do that.
I will have to send you a box and tell you not to open it for 3 months and not to put it near heat. And it's going to involve peanut butter. You've been warned.
That wasn't my fault. I had
You
no
married
idea.
that fault. I'm just saying. Oh, look at the time. We need to run. It has been a pleasure, as always.
Yes,
to be with you.
definitely. And so you guys get out there, look at taking that trip to Germany this summer. It Yeah, she'll probably send me Cheese Whiz, and it'll be all your fault. It'll be all your
We don't
fault.
have that up here, but that's another story. Okay.
But think about going to Germany. Think about making that realistic beard. It is a 2-day comp, and I'm talking 2 full pack days. It's not just the redheaded stepchild on the night before, as we were prior. So, did I? Anyway, I shouldn't have said that. That was rude. But anyway, so it is a 2-day, packed full of fun and hair and culture I mean, it's going to be packed with culture. And what else? Was that all for now? Our summary statement.
That's it. It's dinner time on the West Coast, so I'm signing off. I
And
love
thank
you,
you
but
so much for playing tonight. So, otherwise, we will see you guys in 2 weeks. Our next show is going to be on the 20th. And we'll have to figure out which of our topics we'll be talking about that night, depending on what we can get lined up. So stay tuned. We'll have more info. And beardcalendar.com. Go look and see what comps are in your area. Set up that calendar to go make some trips and get some beard love. What else do we have? Anything else?
I'm good.
All right. Good night, folks. And we will see you next time.
Thanks, Tish. Bye, everybody.